Green gold, mountain climber, child of lightning. It's water and fire, yin and yang. This is ginseng. At first glance, ginseng is just another plant, clothed in basic floral fashion, a thin stem and leafy greens, red accessories in the fall. But beneath the earth's surface, now that's where the magic happens. The root plunges through the flesh of the earth, swelling and stretching into the shape of a man. And this root is powerful. In cultures around the world, ginseng is medicine, a cure in times of illness and a blessing in times of hardship, a token of prosperity and a figure of history, a man root that has shaped mankind.
Hi. Welcome to the Smithsonian Folklife Festival Story Circle. My name is Betty Belanus. I'm a folklorist, curator, and education specialist at the Center for Folklife and Cultural Heritage. I'll be the moderator for today's Story Circle on women and ginseng conservation. Our opening animation, I hope you enjoyed it, was created by Rosalie and Clara Hazlett, two of our virtual interns from last year for our project American Ginseng, Local Knowledge and Global Roots. Thanks for joining us. First, a little housekeeping. Today's presentation features both real-time captioning and ASL interpretation. To access either of these services, please use the links provided in the comments section. We recommend opening these links in a separate browser window on a separate device. It works best that way. We encourage you to be part of the conversation through posting comments and questions in the chat box. That's the fun part of being here with us live. We'll take questions throughout and also leave time towards the end of the session for more questions. Please check out our website, www.festival.si.edu, for more information and content. Our program today is presented in collaboration with the Smithsonian Conservation Commons. Thank you, Smithsonian Conservation Commons and Earth Optimism. Today, we are inviting you to join us in conversation with three amazing women who are passionate about their roles in the conservation of American ginseng, a medicinal plant native to the Appalachian forests. Our research project on American ginseng is part of the year-long Earth Optimism Initiative led by the Smithsonian Conservation Commons, as I mentioned, and will be used in an extensive website and as part of the Earth Optimism program at the 2021 festival. Our program today is presented in collaboration with the Smithsonian Conservation Commons. Join us in welcoming our guests, Susan Leopold, Anna Lucio, and Anna Plattner. Susan is the executive director of the United Plant Savers Organization, and she's based in Paris, Virginia. Hi, Susan.
Hi.
Anna Lucio is the acting ginseng coordinator of the state of Kentucky, and she's based at the Department of Agriculture in Frankfort, Kentucky.
Hi, Betty. Hi, Susan.
And Anna Plattner is the manager of the American Ginseng Pharm in upstate New York. You can learn more about their work through the links to their websites, which will be visible as we go on through the chat box. And also remember, we want you to be part of the conversation and ask questions. Okay, well, we're going to get started by showing a very short video of Anna Lucio. She's out in the ginseng world in the woods with a Kentucky television station WKYT reporter, Amanda Combs, and you'll see ginseng in the wild. Take it away, Sarah.
Yes, Lucio grew up on land like this.
In times of lean, if you take care of the ginseng, it will take care of you.
She can spot ginseng with the best of them.
And the first time.
Whoops. We having some trouble with that?
5 leaflets, and you got the 2 on the back and the 3 on the front. And if you open it up, you've got a beautiful little seed cluster in there.
If you haven't noticed,
Did you see this guy? That's a ginseng up underneath there.
she cares about this.
You gotta love to play in the dirt for this.
Lucio grew up on land like this.
In times of lean, if you take care of the ginseng, it will take care of you.
She can spot ginseng with the best of them.
And the first time I went to a woods and, oh, there's one, there's that excitement that you can be able to find it. And even if you've seen a million, I think you would still be like, oh, found one.
That's great. Okay, so I'm going to start with a really broad first question, and we'll see what happens from there. So Anna Lucio, I'm going to start with you since we just saw you on camera. And I'm going to ask, why is conserving ginseng so important?
Well, this amazing plant is not only native to North America, as you've mentioned, but it's a long-growing herb that we've harvested and treated for many generations, not only in Kentucky, but in entire North America. History tells us that this plant was identified by a Native American woman who presented it to a Jesuit priest who was the scientist of her day, Father Lafitteau. And he knew of ginseng's value as a plant that was similar to one that's traded in China. And over these 300 years, American ginseng has paid for many homes, land, holiday gifts, bicycles, and general family needs, not only in Kentucky, but in all of Appalachia. And one thing about this is in the video you just saw, that quote that I heard said about ginseng taking care of you in times of lean, if you take care of it in those other days. That was a quote that I was given by my father, who was given by his father. And so it shows culturally that this gets passed down all through these generations. It's an amazing plant.
Thanks, Anna. Susan or Anna Plattner, why is ginseng conservation so important to you two?
Personally, I'm in love with ginseng. My entire life revolves around ginseng. I know you gave a little intro, but I thought I'd explain that American Ginseng Pharm, the company that I manage, grows wild simulated ginseng in upstate New York. We started very small scale and have grown over the years, and now we have about 200 acres of wild simulated ginseng growing. And every property that we go to, every time I meet a new landowner or someone who hunts ginseng, there's just so much culture and history around this plant. Anna L. mentioned that ginseng was discovered by Europeans in the early 18th century. And as early as the 1740s, it was a major commodity being traded into East Asia. And so many generations of people have worked with this plant and cared for this plant and stewarded it and planted it. And it's so special to our history in America. And I would love for more people to know about that and to cherish it.
Susan?
I think one thing that's really fascinating about American ginseng is how it brings such diverse people together from all different perspectives, and kind of the overarching theme between people with different political ideas and different backgrounds is that if we don't protect the forest, we won't have ginseng. And that's, a critical component when you meet people who are passionate about ginseng. They're passionate about the forest, and we have an incredible blessing with how rich the Appalachian Mountains are, but we have to be united on protecting these mountains and these forests if we want a future for ginseng, because essentially ginseng needs the forest, and it's kind of a grandfather spirit that connects all kinds of ecosystems and parts of the biodiversity of the forest as a whole. So I think that's for me, when I think about the importance of ginseng, I think about how it's a voice for the forest.
Thank you. I just want to say, if you're just joining us, if you came in a little bit late, we're having a conversation about conservation. And we have three women here who come from different parts of the Appalachian region, really stretching from upstate New York down to Virginia and Kentucky. And you all have very different roles and different jobs. The thing that unites us all is American ginseng. So I wanted to ask you guys, maybe you can talk a little bit more about exactly what you do in conservation. You know, like what are some of the things that you yourself are doing as part of your job to promote conservation? And maybe we'll go in order again and go back to Anna Lucio and ask her that question.
Well, I work at the Kentucky Department of Agriculture. So my role in American Ginseng is to help promote the plant itself, but also to enforce laws and regulations that Kentucky legislature has established to for harvest season, for dealer registration, for ginseng to legally go into the marketplace. And you see around me lots of the stewardship materials that we use throughout the year to make sure that people are aware that ginseng isn't just something you can go and collect any time of the year. There is a season so that we can make sure it's there to harvest for many generations to come.
Thanks. Anna Plattner, we've just had somebody asking, like, what the heck is wild simulated?
Yeah,
and I know you're going to answer that.
Yeah, so basically, there are a few ways that you can cultivate ginseng. Two of the ways, shade cloth ginseng and woods grown ginseng, involve a more intensive cultivation where you're tilling the soil. In some cases, you're growing it in a field underneath shade cloth. In some cases, you're growing it under a forested canopy. But generally, those plantings are very dense, and the ginseng is not in its ideal growing conditions. Ginseng is a very picky plant that likes pristine forests and grows in rather small patches. And so with wild simulated, which is the way that we grow ginseng, it's the only way that ginseng can be grown organically throughout its entire lifespan. You never have to spray it with chemical pesticides or fungicides, for example. And it's the most sustainable and natural way to grow ginseng. So the roots end up looking basically identical to wild roots. And it's generally always been something that's more small scale. And that's what American Ginseng Pharm is doing that's different, is taking that from a few acres or a small patch of ginseng that you've intentionally planted to 200 acres at this point. Somebody also asked about Native American names for ginseng and where the name ginseng comes from. And ginseng in East Asia is known as a cure-all, and it's very highly, it has been highly medicinally valued for thousands of years. And to Native people in the Northeast, at least, that's where more of my experience is. Before Europeans came, ginseng had played a role in their pharmacopoeia, but it didn't have the same elevated status that it did in East Asia. The names for it referred to the forked root or wapik in Muncie. That would mean like that which is white. Later on, ginseng actually in native languages developed new names, such as in Western Abenaki, there's a word, and I'm not saying the names because I will butcher the pronunciation, but it actually means that which is valuable, referring to its economic value. Because Native people, at least for the first number of decades when ginseng became a commodity, were the backbone of its harvest and trade. It kind of came into the fur trade, into the beaver trade that had already existed for over 100 years in Eastern North America at that time. So there's another interesting backstory that we could go into right there, but I'll stop now.
We're seeing a picture of Anna, or we did see a picture of Anna just now, planting ginseng in the woods at the American Ginseng Pharm from a few years back. She's been at this for a while, you can tell. We've been getting a lot of comments about how wonderfully passionate you guys are about ginseng and some other questions which I'll defer to later. But Susan, we want to give you some time to talk about your work.
Sure. I am the director of United Plant Savers, which is a nonprofit organization that's been around for 25 years that's focused on the conservation of native at-risk medicinal plants. So in my role as a director, I've been able to work with both Annas. Anna and I have done some great educational events in Kentucky, bringing awareness to, as she mentioned, proper time of harvest and life cycle of the ginseng. And then United Plant Savers manages a forest grown verified program, which verifies that growers are intentionally propagating and growing ginseng and other forest botanicals. And Anna and the Ginseng Farm, American Ginseng Pharm, are registered in our forest grown verified program. I also am a landowner and live in Virginia, and I've been planting ginseng since the late 1990s. I think Anna spoke to this earlier. Ginseng is something that it's a virus. There is no cure for it. Once you get it, you're hooked, and it kind of takes over your life in all kinds of capacities. Whether you're making herbal products from it, whether you're growing it, whether you're working towards its conservation. I saw somebody mention, how important it is and what we understand about the genetic diversity of ginseng, and all of these aspects are really interwoven together. And I think in the American ginseng story, a lot of people focus on maybe a negative connotation of the harvester or stealing ginseng, and certainly that happens, but actually there's a much bigger story about really passionate people who've dedicated their lives, and it's a big reason why we have a really thriving American ginseng market here in North America. There's so many people out planting ginseng in the fall, and so it's a huge industry that connects such a diverse group of people together. And I've seen some of the people I know through ginseng popping up on the chat, and I know that they've all in their own way are deeply passionate about the survival of the species.
Thanks, Susan. And I think you've set up another short video that we have pretty well of you and your ginseng patch. But first, I just want to say for anyone that's joining us just late, we are talking about ginseng conservation with 3 women who have really important roles in that conservation. So let's see if we can get that short video of Susan in her ginseng patch up.
Hi, my name is Susan Leopold. I'm the director of United Plant Savers, and we are in my ginseng patch. If you kind of get your ginseng eyes on, you can spy the ginseng leaf, and you can kind of see them popping up this spring. And I think a lot of people talk about what it means to dig ginseng, but for me, it's more about what it means to plant ginseng. And I first got introduced to planting ginseng by my extension agent, Andy Hankins, in the late 1990s when I first moved to this land. And ever since then, I've been really passionate about planting ginseng in the fall and coming out in the spring to see how the plants are doing. And that's in part because I'm very concerned about the future of ginseng.
Okay, thank you so much. That was great. We're getting several really interesting questions that I think you guys can address. One of them is, where did the name ginseng come from, and does it have any indigenous American names? Anna Plattner, you might know some of the indigenous names, but if anybody else wants to talk about the original, like where ginseng comes from, the name. Susan, you look like you're going to talk.
I think Anna kind of talked about that a little bit earlier, and I was just seeing some questions on people wanting to know, how is it different being a woman in this field and in the market and prices and
yeah, we're getting a lot of questions. So I just want to address that one, the ginseng name, really quickly myself, because it seems to me like as we've been doing some research, that the name kind of is kind of an Americanization of a Chinese name, Ren Shen. But in general, it seems to mean in a lot of languages something like man root or man-shaped root. Which I want to get to a couple, because there are a couple of questions here about the medicinal uses, and that kind of feeds into the medicinal uses in terms of it being shaped like a man. Would anybody like to talk about that?
Well, it is considered a all healing panacea on there. I often, some of the reasons why that it is used for in healing for North America ginseng is that it's complementary to what would be from Asian ginseng. So North American ginseng would be considered cooling in traditional Chinese medicine versus the warm that would come from Chinese ginseng or Korean ginseng. And there's many uses that even in Western medicine has shown, from being able to have mental awareness to help you mentally think. Maybe you're want to focus on something. That's something, a traditional use that even came from my family, that my grandfather would actually harvest it just to do that when he had to think about something and a decision he wanted to do. Other uses, there's been research for, it wouldn't cure cancer, but maybe something as complementary medicine for cancer treatment, so that it's kind of it's an enhancer. It's not going to be the cure-all itself, but it's going to help what would make that work a little bit better than it would otherwise. And I'm sure there's other uses. Ginseng products can be from teas to capsules, extracts, even as the natural root. A really traditional way to consume it would be something like what you and I would eat, maybe chicken noodle soup, except for a Korean dish, they would put a fresh ginseng root in there also.
Thank you, Anna.
Yeah,
and,
that's great. Sorry.
That's okay.
I just wanted to put a plug in for Susan, along with being the director of the United Plant Savers. She also owns and runs a small apothecary in Paris, Virginia, which is in the Shenandoahs, not far from Washington, D.C., for those of you that are located in the area. And Susan, tell us about some of the products that you sell and how people use them.
Sure. Well, at the apothecary in Paris, we sell forest grown verified ginseng from Mountain Rose Herbs. They sell it both as a dried root. Also, the leaves of ginseng are also very medicinal, and they can be simply used by just pouring warm water and drinking as a tea. And another really popular method in some of the products that we have are American ginseng tincture, and tinctures often made just like soaking the root in some kind of alcohol, and other people add honey to make it sweeter. There's a lot of wonderful recipes out there that involve ginseng and honey, how well they go together. And kind of an old timer thing is to just take ginseng roots and put it in your honey, and then you can take the medicinal honey. So there's ginseng candies are also pretty popular. And I would say, ginseng is in a class of herbs that are called adaptogens. So they're really a plant of this time. They help our bodies to adapt to environmental stresses, and that's really how ginseng is used, and why people who are, recovering from chemotherapy or things that have really taken the chi, right, that life force energy, being tired. Ginseng has this ability to, bring that chi, that life force back. And so that gives you a few ideas of easy ways to use your ginseng. And certainly the leaf is a very sustainable way.
Thanks. And I just wanted to say that linking, I think, from the same Facebook page you guys are on now. We have a couple of other features. We've just put up an Instagram story about Ed and Carol Daniels and making tea from ginseng leaves with a very old recipe. And also our intern Shirley Chang has just published a blog on our website, which I think the link is there too, all about ginseng's use in Chinese traditional medicine. So you guys can read more about that. Now, Anna Plattner is holding up some ginseng. Anna, I kind of cut you off. Tell us what you have to say.
This is, there's a little glare on my computer, but you can see these are tinctured ginseng roots. So tincturing generally involves extracting the medicinal properties into an alcohol or sometimes glycerin. And so these are wild roots that I've tinctured in an apple brandy that you can take medicinally. But also the leaves of ginseng are equally as medicinal as the roots. You don't see the leaves often on the market because ginseng grown in those cultivated settings that I was talking about is sprayed heavily, and so the leaves are not medicinally useful at that point. But these are dried tea leaves that I make into ginseng tea all the time. And going back to the meaning of ginseng, the scientific name for ginseng is Panax quinquefolius, and I know the closed captioning is going to not understand how to spell that, but I had to say it because Panax comes from Greek, meaning all healing, and panacea is a term that we use for something that is generally a cure-all. Ginseng affects your endocrine system, so your hormones, and it helps regulate the background processes of of your body. So it makes you feel better, particularly when your body is not functioning the way that it should. When you're getting older, when you have a chronic illness. So that's another. I just wanted to provide like an additional explanation of how ginseng used and where the word comes from.
Thank you. So if you're just joining us, or if you've been in on the conversation since the beginning, you know we are talking to three women who have a lot of knowledge, a lot of passion about conserving ginseng. And we've had a question about women's roles in conservation. So, and I know you all kind of have an opinion on that. And so let's go first to Anna Lucio. I know she's out in the field a lot with a lot of guys, so she can tell you a little bit about her.
It is kind of unusual to see women in this role, but it seems like the healers that I meet or the herbalists, a lot of them are women that do share their stories. You know, one person who showed me their ginseng eyes to make sure I could spot ginseng in the woods, that was a friend from high school, and it's a female. So it's really good to be in this. And we may not be the most common gender in this industry, but we're definitely not anything to take for granted, because you know we practice what we preach in terms of conservation, or and how we do and treat each other. And one thing about being so few of us, it's beautiful because we all lift each other up and help each other out, and whatever role we play, whether it be from the state role or the herbalist or the grower, and help each other with that information on there. You know, sometimes we can kind of have a rough go ahead of, you know, people can be like, well, how do you know about this? But, you know, we all hold our own, I do firmly believe.
One of the other of you guys want to talk about that? Anna Plattner? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I think being a woman coming into this industry has been really inspiring. Our American Ginseng Pharm, our company, is actually women-owned and women-managed. My boss is Eva Tsai, and it's been very inspiring and empowering to work in that capacity. Generally, I'd say both the conservation world and the industry world are very male-dominated, And I've had some great male mentors that have helped me along, and I look forward to empowering other people, men and women, to be involved.
And you have a number of women working with you on the farm. Is that correct?
Yeah, we do. I think generally our crew ends up being more than half women every year. The way our season works is we prepare land and then we plant land in the same season. You actually plant ginseng seeds in the fall. Ginseng is a really odd plant, and it doesn't have a great chance of survival in the wild in general. And so what we try to do is help it along as best we can. So you plant it in the fall, and we've developed a number of techniques which are all kind of experimental, and it's been an empowering thing to work with other women in that capacity. But I have to say that men have been obviously very involved and inspirational as well. So,
Susan?
Yeah, I mean, I would echo that. And I guess, ginseng in itself is, known often to be, a spirit herb that brings balance between the human world and the spirit world. And so I really see, women's involvement in the ginseng industry kind of bringing balance to the ginseng world. And when I think about the colleagues that I get to work with, I think about how our voice really brings, a conservation ethic that we feel really strongly about, and how commerce and cultivation and commerce really all work together in all capacities. So I hope that there's some young women who are watching this program that are inspired to learn more about planting ginseng and what it means to get involved. United Plant Savers has a really great program called the Botanical Sanctuary Network. And it's interesting. A lot of our botanical sanctuaries are started by women. And I think women have that healing tendency and caretaking. And it's really okay to get into ginseng just for the conservation of it, just to create a home, to document where your medicinal plants grow, to tend those medicinal plants, to teach about those plants to others in your community. So it kind of brings a balance. We have to have that, commerce and industry, and often that's more male dominated. And then women kind of bring this conservation component, and both are really important.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I personally have a botanical sanctuary in the Botanical Sanctuary Network, 100-acre family property of mine, where we've done all different medicinal plant conservation, including ginseng. So I love it.
I understand we're getting a lot of, we have a number of scientists with us on the chat, and we're getting some scientific questions, but I want to bring it back. I want to keep on this riff of education and what we can, how people can learn more about ginseng. And I know, Anna, Lucio, you have a lot of props kind of all around you. And I wonder if you'd like to show us one or two of your favorites and tell us about how you take them to the Kentucky State Fair and to educate a general audience.
Well, this is one of my prizes, is another way of doing ginseng extracts. This is actually in a pure grain alcohol, so it's a little bit clearer than the other one you saw. But in this root, it has actually 25 neck scars on it. And so we know by the neck scars, that's all these little divots that you see. Those are where the ginseng stem dies off each year, so that we can estimate the age of what a ginseng plant is. We know this one grew at least 25 seasons before it was harvested. And by putting it in the alcohol, I was able to keep the hard shape of it, so you can kind of see, a very good realistic. So this is really cool because, once it dries down, you don't usually see as well of on there. Sorry, I don't have a good specimen. This one's been microwaved, so it's really hollow. But I don't have just good ginseng in my collection. I also call the trash or my treasures, because I can show this is literally taken out of the garbage can, right? so that we can know what a good root is, so that we can help you get a top dollar when you go. So this one has mold on it. It's not a really good one. Here's another extract. This one is actually very ideal. And the other thing, since I'm kind of leaning over my shoulder and I can't do this very good in reverse, but these are actually harvesting tools that are behind me. And the two that you would see that are longer handled, those would be very ideal to go out and harvest with. Whereas the ones on the other side, the screwdrivers, what you would normally pop up dandelions with, we don't want to see those, because you literally will poke the root on the side, and then it's not any valuable anymore. It totally destroys that. So good harvest starts with, the age of the root, and then also taking care of it and how you dry it, whether you wash it or not. And so all those things are going to impact the quality of what price you're going to get at when you go to market, when you go to sell it.
Thanks. I missed a photo that went up and describing it for those who wondered what that photo was. It was the entrance of the medicinal walk on the UPS sanctuary, where my colleague Arlene Reiniger and I were happy enough to be able to visit back in September and go on a walk with some of the staff and interns there. It's a beautiful place. If anybody gets to Southern Ohio, they should look it up. And they do have you do have internships and also work with local organizations to get young people working there, right, Susan?
Yes, we have a 6-week spring internship program and a 6-week fall internship program. And we also we're a participating member of the AmeriCorps program. And we also have a deep ecology art fellowship that you can apply to come and be at the sanctuary and explore different artistic mediums. And yeah, so we have lots of ways you can come visit the sanctuary. And last year we opened the Center for Medicinal Plant Conservation. So we have this incredible new building and a little museum that has all kinds of ginseng and medicinal plant artifacts that you can check out. So yes, we encourage you to come to Ohio as soon as we're all able to travel again.
That's great. We have another question, which and we're kind of almost running out of time, but this is a great question. So what do you say to people that say, well, it's just another plant, who cares? It kind of brings us back to why it's important, which was our conversation that started this all out. But I'm sure you get that a lot. And why is it so important to conserve plants in general, and not just animals? And
this plant actually takes a long time to grow. I pulled another little sample. So this is a good character. The neck is broke on the top of it. But once we harvested this, it died. It can't be put back in the soil and put back anymore and get any more growth out of it. The only way we can grow ginseng is either through seeds or through the adventitious root, the rhizomes that come off that you can maybe go back and start. But that would just be to have future genetics of it. Ginseng takes 2 cold cycles before it will ever actually germinate. So once we put a berry in the soil, it's going to take at least 2 years of a certain amount of temperatures below freezing so that it will finally put a seedling up. Well, that seedling's got to grow for many, many years, and it can go up to 17 in the wild before you have a mature plant that's going to reproduce and have the next generation of seeds. So when we go in and harvest, it's important that the harvest is not of all the plants, that we're not taking young plants, and that we leave some so that we can keep going seeding back in that area from year to year. And that's different from maybe in a different system, but for wild, that is definitely important. And then also waiting for the berries to produce in the fall. Traditionally, that happens from September 1 is the legal harvest, and that gives a chance for all those berries to get mature and that you have a better generation. So again, from the time we let it grow and time we harvest is going to impact all those things so that we can keep that on there. And then the size of our patch is going to be whether harvest is detrimental or not, whether you can keep on harvesting over and over. Some research shows that you need to have at least 172 to 200 plants in your patch that are in various levels of age of growth before that it is even healthy, so that with that harvest doesn't continue to hurt the size of your plant. So we can't take everything, and we have to be good stewards from the moment we look at the ginseng in the field.
Thanks. Go ahead, Anna.
I can add to that. Not only is ginseng a really unique and special plant in that regard, but it also thrives and is a piece of a really pristine ecosystem that we need to maintain in the Appalachian region. Ginseng is a plant that needs a really high amount of loam and decayed leaf litter in the soil, which generally comes with a more mature forest. Something that's been pasture or been heavily logged and had equipment go through it, those lands are not going to be as productive for ginseng. And so I think it's particularly important to think of ginseng as this indicator plant. The presence of ginseng indicates that the ecosystem is functioning properly and that it's healthy. And that's another reason why I think conservation through cultivation, the idea of wild simulated production, is so great for the future of ginseng, because it goes from a purely extractive model where we go into wild populations and harvest to a more intentional and sustainable plant husbandry. If everyone who hunted wild ginseng instead or in addition cultivated their own wild simulated patch, pressure would be taken off of these vulnerable wild populations. And actually, sorry, I'll finish.
It's okay.
I could go on forever.
I know. And I know Susan has something to say about this too, but we only have a few minutes, and I want to get in a really important question. But first I want to just remind everybody that the medical uses of ginseng that we've been talking about are something that, you should check with your health professional about before you use. We always have to say that because we don't want you to have a bad reaction to anything. But I wanted to wrap this up by addressing kind of the elephant in the room, which is COVID-19, and what might be some of the impacts to the ginseng world that we might see because of the pandemic. Let's just keep that order and start with Anna briefly.
Okay, well, in Kentucky, that we know that wild harvest may be impacted because that the economy is kind of struggling a little bit, and medicinal plants are a way a lot of people supplement other income. So that is a concern. When we get talking and teasing about social distancing, that is a beauty about being in the woods, and harvesting is usually the original social distance method of living. So that's not as big a concern. But, we want to encourage everybody to harvest in the fall and harvest not just ginseng in the best way. Other forest medicinals also have a good time to do. So if we're out in the woods now and something botanically hasn't flowered or put out its berry, it's at its highest medicinally. It's still not the best time to be out and practicing that good harvest. And that's always important. And that's what's going to help you get that top dollar when it does go to market.
Thanks. Let's go to Susan. Susan, since you didn't get to talk in the last question.
I mean, that's a really big question. I think this COVID epidemic that we're in right now really brings up how deeply related human health is to planetary health and ecosystem health. And partly why we're in this position right now is because the global rate of deforestation and the communities that are impacted by deforestation. And so I really want to, kind of emphasize that, I think a lot of people in the United States suffer from plant blindness. They don't have an appreciation for the forest and our native medicinal plants. And so for me, I see ginseng as a real teacher bringing awareness to how important these plants are. But, you know, as Anna mentioned earlier, ginseng especially is an indicator species of the vitality of our forests overall. So in regards to this situation, I really hope it opens our eyes to how important we need to get engaged in forest conservation and protection and make that a part of our political platform.
Thank you.
In this critical time, I guess. So, yeah.
Thank you. Anna, I'm going to have to cut you off because we're running out of time. We know there's a lot of interest. We've really enjoyed, we didn't even get to all the questions that people asked, and I apologize for that, but we will be having more conversations about ginseng conservation in the future. So I just wanted to thank our guest speakers, Susan Leopold, Anna Lucio, and Anna Plattner. Be sure to check out their websites. There's a lot more information there that where you'll learn more about their work and about ginseng. And thank you so much to our audience for being here the whole time and for asking great questions and making great comments. And join us. We're doing these digital story circles every week, same time, same place. So join us again and visit our website again, www.festival.si.edu. Lots of information there. And I wanted to thank the people behind the scenes who made this possible. Elisa Huff, Sarah Rothman, Ginny Maycock, Diane Nutting, Jose Castilleja, Zaki Gould, Albert Tong, Sabrina Lee Motley, and Arlene Reiniger for their production and promotion efforts. And we're going to leave you with another wonderful short animation by Clara and Rosalie Hazlett. We had virtual interns before virtual interns were cool. These are virtual interns from last year.
Yeah, ahead of it. You're ahead of it.
And this features Ed and Carol Daniels of Shady Grove Botanicals. So please join us again next week and in the future. And thanks so much for being a great audience.
Thank you, Betty.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
I just like being in the woods. We can do that together.
A lot of times when we go out in the woods looking at sang, we just look at it.
We were high school sweethearts. We bought some property not too far from where we grew up, and that's where we started planting.
You know, it goes back further than just planting here on our farm. We got programs where we're going into schools and teaching young kids proper stewardship of the plant.
I done one school in Marlington, West Virginia, and the teacher said, "Ed, you've got a problem." I said, "What's that?" She goes, "Every kid wants to come and see your farm." You know, you capture their interest. Now they want to go see that. They want to go find that.
It means something to us because we're giving back to the younger generation. That's the best time I had growing up was being outdoors.
The kid wants to be productive. He's a seed. He just needs planting.